ever had a falling out and you kind of needed to run for your life, or you at least felt that you needed to, whether reality or not? We're going to talk about that today from Genesis chapter 31. Hey guys, and welcome back to God's Word Made Simple by Simple Servant Ministries. My name is Aaron Hawk, and if this is your first time visiting with us today, I just want to say welcome and thank you for joining us today. God's Word Made Simple is an online discipleship ministry dedicated to taking God's Word and making it simple. We want to help you understand God's Word, apply it to your life, and grow in your relationship with the Lord. Also, at some point, if you appreciate this ministry and content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn that bell notification to all so you don't miss any future videos. We would love to have you as part of our family. Okay guys, so last time we left off with Rachel and Leah saying, hey, our father didn't want us, we're with you now, we're good with whatever. Well, now today we're going to start with them taking off and what ends up happening. So we're going to start in Genesis 31, verse 17. Then Jacob arose and put his children and his wives upon camels, and he drove away all his livestock and all his property which he had gathered, his acquired livestock which he had gathered in Padan Aram, to go to the land of Canaan to his father Isaac. When Laban had gone to shear his flock, then Rachel stole the household idols that were her father's. Now, this may not mean much to you, or it might, depending on your background. Probably not if you're an American listening to this. But each house, often in this culture, would have had a small shrine in their house. And it could have been something large or something small, but usually like what you would consider like an action figure size or like a figurine. Something, we would consider it reasonably small. But they would have like a little shrine set up, and that's where they would pray to these idols. So, and each house would have their own collection of them. You can actually see versions of this in the world today. The one that comes to mind offhand, I believe this is a very common practice in Hinduism still. And you can still see the same type of practice done today. All right, so anyway, what I was trying to get at is it is a big deal to steal the household idols, like a really, really big deal. It doesn't get any worse than that for offending someone. But, Rachel, she's just done with her family. She's moving on, but she still wants those idols. And, we see this theme of people taking idols with them into the land of Canaan, where they're supposed to later on, not yet, we don't really know this yet, although technically they are still supposed to, but later we'll see the people of Israel being commanded to drive out the inhabitants and get rid of the idols, but you still see people bringing idols into the land of Canaan. Well, you see this all the way here with Rachel. All right. Verse 20, and Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean by not telling him that he was fleeing. And remember, I've talked to you guys before in other videos, it was considered proper culture and custom to let the person to basically ask permission to leave. Not only that, but he was in an employment contract with Laban. So he really did leave in a not a good way. So anyway, so he fled with all that he had, and he arose and crossed the Euphrates River and set his face toward the hill country of Gilead. Dun, dun, dun. Verse 22, Laban realizes what's going on. When it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob had fled, then he took his kinsman with him and pursued him at a distance of 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the hill country of Gilead. God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream of the night and said to him, "Be careful that you do not speak to Jacob either good or bad." So God is honoring his promise to protect Jacob, even though Jacob is being a jerk here. Now God did tell him to leave, but Jacob is just being a jerk in general because that's what Jacob does. Verse 25, Laban caught up with Jacob. So God literally just warned him, don't speak to Jacob either good or bad, but he doesn't listen. Laban caught up with Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country, and Laban with his kinsmen camped in the hill country of Gilead. Then Laban said to Jacob, What have you done by deceiving me and carrying away my daughters like captives of the sword?" As if he cared, right? He's trying to find an excuse to have a reason to be upset with Jacob. So he's trying to find an excuse to start a fight, basically. Verse 27, "Why did you flee secretly and deceive me?" Now that part was fair in their culture. "Why did you flee secretly and deceive me and did not tell me, so that I might have sent you away with joy and with songs, with timbrel and with lyre? And did not allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Now you have done foolishly. It is in my power to do you harm. But the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, 'Be careful not to speak either good or bad to Jacob.'" All right, so verse 30. "Now you have indeed gone away because you longed greatly for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods?" So now he is bringing what you would consider a more legitimate charge. The previous is just a trumped up charge, but this one in their culture, this would have been a legitimate charge, a legitimate reason, and this is probably the reason that Laban chose to ignore where God said don't speak to him good or bad. This is probably the reason that he chose to ignore that warning, because from Laban's perspective, he doesn't understand that God is the God, the only God. So he's thinking, okay, I need my gods back. Your God spoke to me, so I'm going to listen to him, but I want my gods back, right? All right, so anyway. Then Jacob replied to Laban, "Because I was afraid, for I thought that you would take your daughters from me by force." Now that's not entirely unfounded. Laban is a scoundrel just like Jacob is. Verse 32, "The one with whom you find your gods shall not live." In other words, I didn't do anything wrong, buddy. I didn't steal your little household gods. So I tell you what, let's make a deal. This is Aaron paraphrase. Tell you what, let's make a deal. If you think somebody in my company stole from you, you kill the person that you found them with. How about that? Right? It's just this showdown of how dare you accuse me of this. "So the one with whom you find your gods shall not live. In the presence of our kinsmen, point out what is yours among my belongings and take it for yourself." And remember, this also goes back to originally where they agreed upon the wages, and anything you find that violates that is considered stolen, and that is a punishable offense up to and including death. So he's just kind of reaffirming this cultural norm here. So take it for yourself. For Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. So the woman he loves is the woman that stole those gods that he has just agreed whoever you find these things with will be guilty and punishable by death. So in a sense, he's just sentenced Rachel to a death sentence. Not that that wasn't already on the table, but he has now said it out loud, which just further confirms that that's where this would go if he's able to find these little household gods. So I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger because this video would be really long if I didn't. So guys, make sure that if you haven't already, hit like, subscribe, turn that bell notification to all so you don't miss any future videos. If you want to support this ministry, make sure you hit that share button and share it on your social media platforms for us. And also there is a link in the description if you want to support us financially. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Thanks and God bless.